Hi, my spiritual soul family. Welcome to my channel. It's so great to be here with you today. I did a solar eclipse reading over the weekend, and while I tapped into some pretty incredible energies and messages for the collective, I thought, how much more powerful and amazing would it be for me to record this reading during the actual eclipse, right? Because the energy leading up to it is generally like anxiety driven, chaotic, and there's not much sense to be made other than things feel weird. But to actually activate through this portal of energy at this time as you watch this reading, I feel will be a lot more alchemical and powerful and potent. And also we can discuss the energies that will carry out throughout the rest of the month from having gone through this shift, this portal, right? Anyway, I have my coffee, I'm ready. Grab a drink, settle down, drop in with me. Let's just hang out, let's talk. So the first thing that I started to feel when I was tapping into the energy of the collective was these circles, right? And it was like the spinning of the same circles and the same cycles, yada, 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 right? We know what we're talking about here, right? We know about karmic cycles. We know about soul contracts. Everyone on my channel is usually pretty spiritual, pretty conscious, and pretty in on this type of terminology, right? So, but when I really sat with it, I realized why these things were coming up. And the frustration has been with these cycles that we already know that it's not necessary to be in them anymore, right? If you're at that point where you can actually recognize it and assess it as a cycle and as a repeated one, you're definitely past it, right? When you cannot even like get a whiff of that and you really feel that you're living something completely different and new, then it's like, okay, it makes sense why you're in it, right? Because you have to kind of go through that to, you know, discover the learning and expand more and mature and level up. But for us at this stage, it's starting to feel like, wait, what? Why am I continuing to attract this thing that I've already made peace with? I've cut the cords, I've moved on, right? There's a reason for it. And one is the big step of actually recognizing it, right? And knowing what you want to consciously let into your life and knowing what you don't want to let in. That's a very pivotal theme right now. But also what Spirit said was, this is about the stillness and learning how to find it even when it's stormy and chaotic and crazy out there. And also with the cycles, it's about surrendering and knowing that there are things that we can control in our life, and then there are things that we can't, right? There are seasons that happen, there are storms that come, and all we can really do is take shelter and make sure that we're safe, right? And a lot of that has to do with soul contracts, okay? So I'm being guided to talk about those bonds that we made, those agreements that we made before we came into this life, onto the planet, right? Before we incarnated in this body. There were certain agreements that we made of things that we were going to live out, people we were going to meet, connections we were going to make. Whether good or bad doesn't matter. This sits outside of that because there is no good or bad. There's just experience. There's just learning. There's expansion. There's next level, right? And that's why we're here on Earth School. So let's be real for a sec, right? Let's drop into the reality. And so there are going to be things that you are absolutely in your control, and there are things in your life that you can absolutely create and things that you can say, nope, I don't want that. Now, there are also shifts that are predestined and fated that are currently happening, okay? And this is the energy that we're feeling, and this is why it feels a little bit like out of our control, out of like we're like out of our depths, but also we know that we've evolved so much, and it's like, do I really need to be living this out right now? Well, yes, because it is actually a different learning in trusting and knowing that life is conspiring for you. Okay, and trusting that there is a reason for it, and it's going to become known later on towards the end of April and towards the beginning of May. Okay. So I do want to talk about tantrums during this season. This is going to be another major theme. A lot of us are going to have them, and that's fine. But I think if you can avoid them, please try to, because what's happening is there's this fiery Aries energy, right? There's the eclipse, there's all this tension, right? There's this tension leading up to this big release that's coming. Now, if you don't have a physical way to exert energy out of your body, it's going to manifest in frustration, anger, tantrums. And later on, you're going to feel pretty foolish that you took that route when you realize that the universe was just moving things around and lining things up for you to be in the right space, in the right environment to be able to receive what's coming, right? And what's coming are the things that you've asked for. And they're not going to look the way that you thought, okay? One of the big messages has been, can you let go of the plan that you had to receive a bigger one, right? This has been a theme all of this year, but right now it's very heightened. Some of you may be feeling very disconnected from the things that normally fulfill you, the things that you love. They're not feeding you in the way that they normally do, right? And so this is for a reason, because this is a time to actually pull back from all of those things and just almost like the hangman, like just pull back, put a pause on things and wait until you feel the next step. Wait until you have that aha moment. Wait until the universe shows you what direction you need to go in. In the meantime, practice stillness, practice rituals, practice yoga, go running, go swimming, do physical things that can ground your body. Purging is happening regardless. I've been talking about purification. People are talking about purification a lot because it's the transition into new earth, right? This is what we're actually going through on a macro level. Of course, it's going to show up in our lives in micro ways, and we're going to feel like we're shifting and we're realigning and we're readjusting, and that's always uncomfortable, right? So what happens with the eclipse energy is it brings in this powerful force of anything not aligned must go, right? And we have been having signs of what those things are. We've been shown that from the universe for a while, and it gets to a point where if you didn't acknowledge the sign, if you ignored it, if you just thought, I don't want to deal with this right now, then the tower moment comes in and things will be severed. Though there will be a great severing, and this is going to come in the form of a loss of a job, a loss of an income, a loss of a friendship, of a partnership, of whatever it is, right? Don't be afraid. Thank the universe for the time that you had with that energy and release it, because what's coming is going to be greater than what you had. It's because you're over it and you've been over it, and perhaps for some of you, you've ignored those signs, and so it has to come in a much more destructive, jolt or bolt or however you want to call it, with this Mars and Aries energy, right? It didn't have to be that way, and this is going to teach us to be more tuned in to those signs, to our consciousness, to our inner nudges, right? But speaking of these things that we've swept under the rug, yes, they're being pulled out for us to look at, but more importantly, the theme right now is truth. Okay, there's an awakening that's happening with truth. There's a lot of throat chakra stuff that's been stagnant in the collective. This is for all signs. And it's because there are things that we haven't been wanting to acknowledge, let alone say it out loud. But the universe wants us to know that our voice carries a very potent, powerful vibration when it's in sync with truth. When it's not in sync with truth, it does not have the same frequency. So in order to call in the help, the assistance from the higher realms, from God, from your guides, whatever you believe in, it has to come from truth. It can't come from, I'm afraid of this, or I really want this, because the truth has to be something that's really going to fill your heart and your heart's needs. It can't be like, I want money and I want fame and really I want to do this. I want this project because I need some sort of validation that I'm great. Well, newsflash, you are already great. You are already talented. You are already a chosen one. That's why you are here at this time on this planet with all of us. Okay, you're already all of that. You don't need the validation. So anything that's coming from that need of a stamp of approval, or of you living out some sort of like karmic, passed on information that you learned as a child of like what your purpose is and, what your family's about and what you came here to do, whatever dogmas exist because of passed down information, rote learning, all that stuff is being purified. And that's what this shift is about. That's what this solar eclipse is about. This light is going to come into your being, into your energetic field to purify those toxins. And when I say toxins, I'm talking about those truths that are not truths, right? Those things that you thought were true, that you grew up knowing, that society taught us, all of that has to go, okay? And that's why it feels really uncomfortable. So the more that you resist living your truth, the harder it's going to feel, the more chaotic it's going to feel, okay? We all feel like, all the intuitives that I know, that I talk to, we're all feeling like this big energy that's coming and it feels scary and destructive. But again, the fear of that, because you could ride that wave. That's what surfing is, right? The surfers want to ride that wave. They're not like, oh my God, this wave is coming, I'm so scared. They're like, they want that. You know why? Because it's power, it's momentum, it's being here in the now, okay? That's what this life is about. Newsflash, right? So the more we get used to that, the more we get used to riding those waves and having fun with it and being able to say, okay, well, the dominoes have fallen, let's rebuild. Okay, the more that we can get into that spirit, we are going to be supported in creating a new paradigm, a paradigm shift, an empire for some of you, right? This is what you want. But you can't want that and also be afraid of losing this tiny little house that you have. You know what I mean? So that's what the shift is about. And that's what the storms and the waves and this thing that's coming, it's going to be very emotional, but Spirit wants you to know that it's perceived emotion. It's not real. It's a heightened experience. It's almost like, it feels exponentially bigger than it actually is. And so keep in mind that any emotions, any rage, any temper tantrums, any of that stuff that comes, just keep in mind that it's not actually real. It's a reaction to the fear of the unknown and not being able to control certain things. So again, the more that we trust and let go and allow these things to leave our life, and the more we embrace the newness, the quicker we're going to be in the energy of that new life that is coming, okay? Whether we're ready or not. We are ready, but ready or not, here it comes, right? Okay, so let me just check my notes to make sure, before I get into the tarot, I just want to make sure that I covered everything. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay, so when I said, can you give up what you've planned, right? This has been the message from Spirit through this meditation that I did on the energetic collective, right? So what's calling this in is a childhood longing. And this childhood longing is very simple. I can get very complex about childhood healing, and you can do all types of complex childhood healings, right? But if we strip it down to the very basics, which is how a child would send and receive information anyway, what your inner child has been needing and seeking is playtime. That's it. There's no big mystery. There's no big thing that you have to do. It's about playtime. When you do things just for the fun of it, without a purpose, without a perceived outcome, right? If it didn't matter if you were going to succeed or fail, if you literally just sat down and said, this is playtime. And what do I want to do during playtime, right? That thing that you are going to do is actually going to be the thing that sets up the foundation for what you want to do, because that's the energy you need to be in for it to be successful, for it to have a cult following, for it to make you feel inspired to wake up every day and say, this is the thing I want to do. It's going to start from that place of playtime. So that's why Spirit is asking, are you ready to throw away the plan for something new? And the new thing is playtime. That's going to be really, really important this season. Okay. Yes. Okay. So in terms of the truths, there's also actual closure that some of you need. There's things that you need to say to properly end out some energetic cycles with people. And the clearer that you can be about how you feel and being able to open up at the risk of losing the connection, the greater the result will be. The more that you keep hidden, the more that you are afraid of being judged and seen a certain way, it's going to extend the same energy outward, so that whether it's with this person or a next person or another person that comes in, you're going to keep calling in the same type of cycle, right? Because what the universe wants to hear is that you're ready. And how can it hear that? What do we say? Through the truth of your voice. Okay, so it's going to be really important for you to feel like, you know what? I'm going to risk losing this by speaking my truth. Okay, when you do that, truth will birth your new life. These are very powerful messages that have come through. Okay, so really quickly, because I know I've gone on for a long time, and honestly, sometimes I feel like I could just talk for an hour, and then it's like, oh, right, I'm supposed to do tarot as well, which I love doing, but anyway, it comes to me in the way that it comes, right? You guys know that. All right, so Spirit, can I have a rune card for the present energy of the collective? What do we need to know at this time? Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay. Yeah, so I've been talking about the foundation, right? I've been talking about rooting and grounding and having a physical practice that connects you to Mother Earth, to your body, to this incarnation, right? You talking to your body and saying, okay, so we're going to have this delicious meal now, and we're going to process and integrate it, and we're going to get all those yummy vitamins and nutrients, and it's going to give us new cells, regenerated life cells, upgraded DNA structures, right? Talk to your body in this way. It is listening to you. It is listening to your thoughts. It's listening to what you're saying. If you are down about your body, it's also receiving that, and it's turning it into autoimmune issues. It's very important that you have a sacred connection to your body that's rooted in Mother Earth, right? Making sure that you're moving your body, that you are living out the body that you want to have in this life. It's very difficult for you to lift your vibration and to heal and to be happy every day if you're not in the spacesuit that you want to be in, right? So really work on that. That's the general theme right now, okay? And there have been, wow, this is so beautiful, because this is really about celebration, kinship, community. We're all, for a lot of us, we're already in that, and we're feeling the support and the celebration of like-minded spirits, right? And that's getting us through this kind of like, unsure, uncertain, sometimes a little bit unclear, even though we really know what's going on, but having to accept that, right? Like getting through this acceptance of what is and what isn't and what's coming, and just being in the here and the now and the present is so much easier when you have community, when you have family, when you have friends, when you have soul connection, soul tribe, right? This is why we do YouTube channels. This is why you watch YouTube, right? It's to feel connected, validated, understood, right? In community. So this is something that some of you are really seeking this. Some of you are feeling orphaned, alone, like you don't belong. And then others of you are actively trying to create this community, right? And calling it in. Whichever part of the spectrum you're on, It doesn't matter, because this is what we're all headed towards. This is what we're all going to achieve. So if you're feeling down about not having this, it is coming. And if you're creating this, keep going, keep calling it in, right? But I have to tell you that the key, because I've been lonely my whole life, right? Even when I'm amongst company, amongst many friends, huge communities, I have felt the loneliest, right? So the important thing is to actually feel whole and be okay with being alone and being with yourself and living your truth, making choices every day that are aligned with what your heart is calling you to do. That's what calls in soul family. That's what calls in people who they're going to feel you. Something's going to resonate with them, and you're going to attract each other, and you're going to run into each other at a store, at a bar, at a party, at a conference, whatever, and you're just going to click, right? And this is how you start to build it. Now, for a lot of us, this community is, yes, it's a sense of belonging. Yes, it's calling in soul tribe, but it's also about collaborating and co-creating new ideas on the planet, right? That's what we're all doing here together. That's why we're here together at the same time. That's what this new earth is about. We're all creating it through the expansion and evolution of our own souls. It's affecting the entire planet, right? The shift is global. And so now bringing that back into 3D terms, bringing in a partner for your business, right? Being in a relationship, having children, right? So there's different ways that you can tap into this that doesn't have to be more on the existential plane, but can actually be like, let's collaborate. Let's, I'm going to host this event. Why don't you join me? Why don't you talk about this and I'll talk about this? Why don't you do the website? I'll do the videos. Like collaboration, right? This is what's needed right now, and this is going to help us move forward. Okay. So those are the runes for the collective for this season. And I'm going to start to pull some tarot. I don't think I'm going to go on very long with the tarot because I feel like we've covered a lot. Spirit, show me the general energy that we've been talking about for the collective, please. I hope you guys have been, at least those of you who've been, who live in places where you can actually enjoy the sun at this time. I hope that you've been doing that. The sun has been providing so much healing through its own Kundalini rising that it's going through. There's a lot of downloads to be had playing under the sun, right? So I hope you guys are doing that. I've been doing morning meditations under the sun. I do a lot of my private readings outdoors. Okay. So, yes. So we're coming from a time of having been through painful things, right? Traumas, having to heal, unhealthy relationships, dynamics, connections, things not working out in the way that we wanted, the plans not, the plan that we had didn't really go the way that we thought it was going to go, right? So we have clarity on that. We don't need to go deep into the past and get down in the murky waters. Like we've done that work, right? So where does that leave us? That leaves us in this very beautiful space of calling in a change, right? We're wanting to move away from looking at the things that haven't worked out in our lives, and we want to start appreciating the things that we do have, the callings that we do have, the things that fill our heart, our soul, the things that we enjoy doing. We're wanting to look at the positives, the successful things, and learning from that and building from that. We no longer want to, sit there and look at our spilled cups, right? Like, what's the point of that? We've done enough of that ruminating and licking our wounds, right? We're ready to move on from this, and Spirit wants us to absolutely move on from that, like by knowing what we want, by speaking our truth, by being honest, and by ending the cycle that things don't have to be hard. Like we don't have to work this hard to barely make rent, right? It's like it doesn't have to be that hard. When we tap into the playful energy, we're actually expanding into a new level of consciousness where things come in because you're having fun, not because you're working your ass off, right? So that's what's really changing. That's what has to go, is that mentality. And that really, there's an entire 3D society out there who believes that you have to go to school and you have to do it this way and you have to work 9 to 5 and you have to work 5 days a week and you have to put in overtime if you want a promotion, right? This is the mindset that's changing, right? This is what's dying. And what's coming now is this much more feminine, playful energy, right? But speaking of feminine, with the logic of the masculine that we have healed, that we have understood, with the, getting the pieces of our life in order, right? That aspect of it, which is calling me to talk about, a lot of us are past this, more disappointed energy, this heartbreak. Like, we're past that, and we're actually like aware that we're ending a cycle and we're entering a new one. We know that, right? So what we're doing is we're standing in front of the mountain, and this new mountain that we're about to climb, but we're looking at it going, oh my God, I'm tired. Like, I just climbed this huge mountain. I just did this, I just ended this entire cycle. And the thought of doing it again is daunting, right? And so what Spirit wants you to know is, yes, rest. Take the time that you need. If you need a day in bed, take it, right? I struggle with that. I feel guilty if I spend like a whole day in bed, and my friends and family are always telling me it's normal, to do nothing and be a vegetable for one day. And I've been conditioned, with my upbringing that, you have to always be working hard. You have to always be hustling. You have to always be on the next thing and the next thing. And so I'm finally doing this, the nothingness. And I have to say, it really helps me regenerate energy and get the downloads that I need to have inspired action the next day, right? So anyway, long story short, we're looking at this mountain and we're like, oh my God, how are we going to climb that? I don't know if I have it in me. Well, yes, you do have it in you. And here's how it's going to happen. You are going to break down the tasks into manageable sizes, manageable chunks. That is going to be the key to doing this, right? It's almost like the moon card. I'm surprised it's not out yet. It's like you take one step forward and then you wait for the next green light. You take another step forward and you wait for the light to shine. Another step forward. It happens in phases. You cannot look at the top and go, oh, I'm out. This is way too much. Let me just curl back into my old way of doing things, this old way of working, this old way of bringing in money, this old way of connecting with people. You don't need that anymore, okay? It's gotten to a point now where it's not you crawling back into safety. Now it's actually you are sabotaging, self-sabotaging. So don't do that. Manageable chunks, step by step, slowly, right? Slow and steady wins, okay? So this emperor is you and bringing your learnings and your knowings, but it's also you creating this map and this puzzle, right? You have all these puzzle pieces, and it's time to start getting organized and start to break everything down into these small chunks, right? And asking yourself, right? Journaling, why is it that I want this thing? And making sure, constantly checking yourself that you are in alignment, right? A lot of you are waiting for opportunities. You're waiting for things to come your way, for creative projects, for the right people to call you and to come, sort of knocking on your door and saying, let's do this thing, let's create this thing. But I think for the most part, what you're really hoping with that is to be able to live a life where you are abundant and receiving, being financially supported and having the resources to invest in the things that you love to do, right? That's essentially what you want to create. But what's in the way of that is a little bit of, again, it's the structure. It's managing your time, right? It's like you go from work hard, play hard, and then you do nothing. And then it's like there needs to be some sort of balance, right? It's not about burning out and then not being able to function for a while, right? And then being uninspired. It's about having that balance in your life and doing a little bit of everything, and having that self-love to say, you know what, these are my working hours and these are my play hours, and I'm going to play. And that play energy is going to be very important in this, right? The Three of Cups, the celebration, the community, getting together, the socializing. Yeah. And for a lot of you, the pieces of the puzzle that you're missing are going to come through this sort of networking, right? This communicating with people who are in your same field and your same environment and teaming up, right? Yeah. And here it is, you've done the work, okay? You have matured and you've healed the inner child. So now what are you going to do with that energy, that playful energy that you have been able to tap back into, that opening of your heart that's happened? It's happened to a lot of us through heartbreak, through being hurt by relationship dynamics. That happened, and at a very deep level, like I'm feeling cut core wounds, like deep. And that was about healing some sort of childhood mentality that we had. And so it opened us up more, right, to love on a bigger scale. And when you love on a bigger scale, you're able to have more fun, you're able to have joy, you're able to play more, right? And again, the play mode is where the new life comes in through, right? It's through that portal of energy. So that's our strength. Beautiful. What's in the environment here? Knight of Cups. Yes, taking action on the things that we want to do, on the things that inspire us, not the things that drain us, that exhaust us, that make us work so hard that we can't function, on the things that make us feel balanced. Like we're giving out the right amount of energy in it, and it fulfills you without having to exert so much, right? Queen of Wands. We got the King and the Queen of Wands. I love it. Exactly what we're talking about. It's this mastery of the healed masculine coming together with the healed feminine. Oh, so beautiful. In terms of timing though, it looks like all of this, there's a huge emotional purge that's happening at this time. And there's a lot of water energy at this time because of this deep purification that's happening. But on the other side of that is the Queen of Wands in the summer, right? So in the summer position, this is when we're going to feel like things are really moving, they're happening, and projects have taken off, and then we're just having fun. And not only that, but we have like multiple streams of energy, of income, of projects, of creativity. There's like multiple things happening at the same time, and we're able to manage them all at their different phases. Why? Because we understand the patience and the process of creation now, right? Beautiful. Next steps. Yep, we just have to get out of our heads about it. We have to stop thinking. Well, again, Spirit did say at the beginning of the reading, this is about finding the stillness within, because the more that we are in our heads about this, the more we're going to overthink it, and then we're going to self-sabotage, and we don't want that, right? So we need to really get out of our heads, and we need to understand how huge this is. We need to understand that this is about having your cake and eating it too. Like that's what we're really creating. It's like we're wanting to have it all, right? To have that well-rounded life of being emotionally fulfilled by what we do, being financially prosperous, having the right partnerships, having the right connections, having the right community, and being able to continue to grow and expand in that, right? That's the vision. So hold that vision. And as this cycle ends, and as we enter into this completely new era, this new you, right? And the outcome, yes, I've never been so happy to see the Knight of Pentacles. This is confirmation from Spirit of what we're talking about here. The Knight of Pentacles is the embodiment of the person who's looking up at the mountain going, okay, this is going to be a long road, but it's going to be worth it in the end, and I'm guaranteed success, so there's no reason not to do it. Because actually, at this point, when you're at this point, you can't go backwards even if you wanted to, because the life that you had is not there anymore. So you actually have no choice but to go forward. And that's what I mean by life is conspiring for you. And that's what I mean when I say you're going to feel very silly for having tantrums, because this is all moving into alignment so that you're in this space where you have nowhere to hide anymore. You cannot go backwards anymore. Okay. So beautiful. Yep. Here's you making the choice and you choosing yourself and your peace over this internal war that's not real. Okay. So beautiful. I'm going to pull a wisdom oracle card to wrap up the reading. And then I also want to pull a moon magic, a deep moon message. Okay. Spirit, give me a wisdom oracle for the collective. I'm so excited about this reading. It just makes me feel like things are aligned, they're in order. Even when they feel that they're not in order, there's all this stuff that's actually happening, and it's leading us into this summer of celebration that we're going to have. Yes, exactly. Total confirmation. So we got not for you and we got serendipity. So that completely wraps up in a nutshell what we've been talking about, and orphaned at the bottom of the deck. So this is like, okay, we don't feel like we belong, right? We don't feel like we have our soul tribe and our soul community, right? We're looking for that. And so what's happening is that those things that are not for us are being removed once and for all. And that's especially with this Mercury retrograde, right? There's like people coming back into your life, or at least trying to, and you're going to know, like, no, this is not forward thinking. This is not the new me that's emerging. This is from my old me, and I'm letting go of that. And if you don't feel that, the universe is going to take care of it anyway, right? So anything that's being severed is because it's not for you, and it's to put you in this space of serendipity, of seeing the magic and the signs and having the luck and the fortune of being able to embark on this journey of a renewed self-discovery, that things don't have to be hard. They can be fun and playful and still prosperous, right? Beautiful. Oh my God. I'm so happy. So happy to be here with you guys. Okay. Spirit, can I have a deep moon message to wrap up the reading? It's a beautiful day here in LA. Definitely a beautiful day to go out and play. There we are. I will not remain stuck. I choose change. Exactly. Same card, same meaning. And then the outcome, Knight of Pentacles. I will persist. My will is strong. Okay. I love you so much. You got this. We're here together. If you need anything, reach out to me. Check out my website if you need a private reading. Otherwise, I will see you later for some more fun stuff. I love you.